Hey, it's Travelgigolo, and this is our trip through the Makgadikgadi salt pans, one of the largest salt flats in the world. Down. We came in from the north side, which is about halfway down the highway from Maun to Francistown. There's an obscure little sign that says Le Kubu, which is the sign indicating the way to Kubu Island. Basically at the sign, you turn onto a little dirt track and you're on your way. There basically isn't very much signage or indication as to which way you should go, and so we just followed as close as we can what looked like the correct route on the GPS map. Been driving for a while now. The road is still just a narrow bush track really, and the landscape is starting to change a bit. We previously had quite a few trees around us and alongside the road, but now it's all flat and mostly grassland on the left hand side. On the right hand side, which is our northern side, there's still quite a bit of woodland. So over the last 20 minutes or so of driving, we haven't seen much except a few ostrich, so not much wildlife. We've seen quite a number of ostrich. We have also seen a boomslang that ran across or slithered across the road and into a tree. We tried to get that on camera. Initially it's dry, but the further you drive, the wetter it gets until it's quite daunting, especially in the rain. Eventually the road disappears, and this is where the fun really starts. So it's been pretty nerve-wracking, but also really cool. This is the first time that I've done this, and it's really fantastic. There's very few people out here. From time to time we come across little homesteads and a bit of cattle and goats, but otherwise it's fairly quiet. It's just hectares and hectares of thorn trees and water. As conditions get more treacherous, it's a good idea to let your tires down if you have the right tires, so you can get a bit more traction. Okay, so we're gonna let the tire pressure down a bit to 1.8 bars, just to get the footprint a bit longer, get a bit more surface area, and then better traction through the mud. Most of this looks very doable. It's not very slick silt. It's a mixture of silt and coarse stones or coarse sand. So we should be able to get through it, but this is just a precaution, just to give us a bit more traction and reduce our chances of getting bogged. After the better part of a 4-hour drive, we finally arrived at the Makgadikgadi Adventure Camp. This is where we set up for the night. Day 2, with some very vague directions from the camp staff, we set off for Kubu Island. So we've just left Makgadikgadi Adventure Camp and we're on the way to Kubu Island. We don't know what to expect. It'll be interesting to see when we get there. Lots and lots of water. We're driving through water that's about maybe 30 centimeters deep, but so far pretty good going. So we've come across quite a few places like this here where there is the well-trodden road which we've been driving on, and there's tracks where other people have come off the road, as you can see here. What you'll see on the road is that the mud's been worn away a bit, and there's quite a good base on which to drive on, which is quite rocky. And here, where people are trying to avoid the water in the road, they're actually driving through what looks like much more treacherous conditions, because there's quite a bit of mud. And you'll see just behind me, there's spots where that mud has gotten really deep, and you can easily get bogged down or stuck in there if you don't approach it carefully. After a somewhat disorienting 20-kilometer winding drive, we finally arrived at Kubu Island. We've explored a bit of Kubu Island. and I must say it's a really beautiful place. The island is full of baobab trees. It's rocky granite outcrops overlooking this vast salt pan going off into the horizon. It's really, really beautiful, and I could see myself coming back here. It's such a lovely remote place. I think I could come and spend a couple of days here, just explore the island on foot and just enjoy being out here in this really remote environment. After leaving Kubu Island, we encountered a lot more water. The more we drove, the worse it got, the deeper the water got, until finally we just could not keep following the tracks because the water was too deep for our vehicle. We had to make our own plan to get to the next nearest road on the GPS map. At this point, the mud was really slick, it was very treacherous, and so we had to go very carefully. The going was very slow, but we could not afford to get stuck. We were the only vehicle. We hadn't seen any other vehicles for 2 days, and so getting stuck out there in the middle of nowhere with absolutely no cell phone signal was a very bad idea. We've had a tough day. We got bogged down on what looked to be the main track. Took us a while to get the car out, lots of physical effort, as you can see. And so now we kept sort of skirting as far as we could, trying to get some dry land or some drivable land to traverse. But basically now the sun's going down. We're about 2 kilometers east of one of the major roads, which we probably can get to, but we don't want to try it in the dark because it's pretty much walk in front of the car and then see if it's drivable and then drive for a couple of 100 meters and so on. So I don't want to do it in the dark anymore. We've been doing it for a while now. Anyway, this is where we're going to set up camp. We're not going to set up the tent, we're going to sleep in the car, but we've got a fire going. We've got some food to warm up. So yeah, this is where going to be our dwelling for the night. It doesn't get more authentic than this, and this is going to be home tonight. Right, after a very uncomfortable night sleeping in the car, which I still appreciate better than having to now take down the tent if we'd put it up last night, it's time to get back to it. So we're just 2 kilometers away from the main route, so a bit of trekking and we should be there just now. So we're pretty much driving across the pan at this point. It's got quite a bit of grass and so on, so we kind of going across the veld. Anyway, 2 kilometers away. It's now a little bit before 6 a.m, so hopefully we'll be there not too long from now. Hi, rock and roll. Okay, so we've made it back to one of the main routes. It's wet, slippery a bit, but at least there's quite a few car tracks going over it. And we did see a vehicle last night or late yesterday afternoon driving along the track from where we were about 2 kilometers away. So we're back on the main route and we're going to try and gun it to Matsumo from here. Hopefully everything goes well. Okay, let's just see what the...
Oh, an order. Oh shit. So this guy went through this last night, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so we're back on the main route. Still a lot of water to cross. There's quite a significant bit of pan in front of us that's all wet, maybe about 20 centimeters of water. But the ground at the bottom of that seems to be fairly firm, not a lot of mud. So let's keep going. we are properly bogged down now. We tried to stay in the main tracks, but unfortunately slid off and into this marsh here. So we're right down to the back axle. Absolutely no traction on the back wheels, no traction on the front left wheel. We don't have front lockers. It would be great if we did, then we could probably use the front right wheel to maybe pull us out, but we don't. So trying to make a plan now. Gonna take these fishing holders, cut them,
head southwest,
strap them to the tires and see how that works. Alright, so that was worth a try, but the plastic tubes couldn't take the stress, so they just failed almost immediately. We did get a bit of traction for a couple of rolls and then the tubes just gave in. So we have managed to get a number to call for help, and there's very limited signal, it comes and goes, and we're hoping that someone will come through in the next hour or so and maybe we can get rescued. Let me have a look.
What about the rock under the front tire?
Okay, let's see if that works. Yo. I think the consideration is to deflate the tire. Okay, so basically we got stuck right down to the axles to a large degree because we didn't follow our own advice, which is to stay in the main channel. At that point it seemed like the main channel was getting really deep and there was another set of pretty well established tracks on the left hand side, so we tried to get into those, but it's very muddy, slippery, so the car got into those tracks and slipped right off them. And yeah, before you know it, you axle deep in grass and mud, very soft mud. So with a bit of help we finally managed to get out. First we had to use a high lift jack to just get the wheels up out of the mud, get the diff out of the mud, put some rocks under the wheels, couple of tries with that, and we managed to get the car out of its initial position. And then with the snatch strap, we managed to jerk it out. It took 3 attempts, but finally got it out, got back into the main channel, which was very deep. Not quite waist deep, but certainly over the door seals at the bottom of the car. So very happy to be back on the road. And yeah, first thing, try and get some diesel, and then we off to Kama Rhino Sanctuary Park. So, 3 pieces of advice for driving through the Makgadikgadi Pans in the summertime. That is in the rainy season or the wet season. Number 1, do not go alone. If you're going in a single vehicle, that's just asking for trouble, because you don't have the opportunity to let someone go ahead and try stuff and then you can pull them out or whatever the case is. Number 2, go with somebody who knows the place, ideally. It's a bit daunting when you have not been there before and you don't know what to expect, and you're driving through all this water and you're uncertain about the road conditions and so on. Number 3, stick to the roads. That is absolutely essential. No matter how muddy it looks, no matter how much water there is, stick to the roads. That is the well-trodden path, and that's the way that you're going to get through them. And bonus tip number 4, don't go in the rainy season. If you like this episode, check out some of my other stuff and click on the subscribe button. Hit the bell if you want to get notified.